Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. Anyway, yeah, Martin O'Neill is manager. It's not been officially announced by Celtic, so we've still got time to get to the 27,000. We're at 26,981. Can we do it today? Can you make me come back online today to hit that 27,000 mark, which would be absolutely phenomenal, considering that it is the sort of closed season. It's not. It's not real football season yet. The World Cup is just around the corner. I watched the Scotland game last night. Bore fest of a game. It's a friendly. Don't look into friendlies too much. And I went on to the other channel, and I'm getting slated for watching Scotland games because I'm not interested in it. It was a friendly. That's all I'm going to say. And talking about meltdowns, Reo Hatate has told Celtic that he wants to leave the club. Yes. I think we knew that one was coming. As soon as Martin O'Neill was made the manager, Reo Hatate would ultimately spit the dummy out. The Herald Group newspapers reported it yesterday that Reo Hatate has informed Celtic of his desire to leave the club in the summer. The 28-year-old midfielder is contracted until the summer of 2028. I think that's phenomenal. You expected that. There was a big fallout with Reo Hatate and Martin O'Neill towards the end of the season. Reo Hatate not joining in the celebrations when Celtic win the league, and he couldn't have given a hoot when Celtic won the Scottish Cup. So there will be no love lost there. Celtic will sell him on. We all expected Reo Hatate to move on in this window anyway. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes and how much he goes for. In other news, there's another Japanese player left the club. Hateo Inamura has been sold for 1.5 million. Celtic making a profit of 1.25 million on Hateo Inamura. He was only at Celtic for half a season. It's the end of an era. It's definitely the end of an era when it comes to the Japanese players. And Martin O'Neill, with Martin O'Neill getting the job, as Sky always do, they interviewed someone outside Celtic Park. Now, I'm not going to play the interview, but I'm going to read some of the comments, because a lot of the Celtic fans, I tell you one thing, Scotland as a nation, I tell you what, if you go into the land of Twitter, it shows the nation to be one thing and one thing only. It's fucked up. It is. All these racist comments are from Rangers fans. That's the reason that their success has been nasty 6 in a row soon. It's not even that. The miracle that they did last season wasn't a miracle. It was pre-arranged, corrupt officials. I thought you only... I mean, the comments from Rangers fans are just... And this is why I'm so glad. I feel sorry for Scotland, because it's only going to get worse. I think Martin O'Neill staying on as manager, my own personal thoughts is I wanted a younger manager to come in, take the club forward on a longer term. Martin O'Neill for 1 or 2 years, it's a sticking plaster. The board get away with it. It's great for the club. It'd be great for me to come back next season and see Martin O'Neill, since I never got to see him last season, due to the fact that I didn't come home for the end of the season like I normally do. I'll be back for the start of next season, that's for sure. But when you read some of the comments, even from Celtic fans, all the Celtic fans that have a problem with Robbie Keane are the worst. I'm a Celtic fan who gives an F whether he managed in Israel for a short time. You all need to get over that Palestine bullshit. That's nothing to do with Celtic. Y'all acting like you took part in the genocide. I'm going to leave it at that, because... And then podcasters get it in the neck. Never heard of him, and most of the other podcasters who speak for the Celtic fans. I don't speak for the Celtic fans. It's called the One Celtic Fans View. It's my view, and I get the views of other people's on the channel. But podcasters even getting it in the neck. It is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is. And then a lot of corruption. And then another guy has commented. This is the last one I'm going to comment. This is from a Celtic fan. Like this guy, used to share a football pitch with him, but don't agree with any of this. This is the reason for not wanting to appoint a purely political, and nothing to do with him losing the league title. What about the leagues that he's won? It's very divisive. Very, very divisive. Let's get back to Reo Hatate. Will you miss Reo Hatate at the club? It's I think it's when you look at the state of the club. I'm going to jump into some of the comments straight away this morning. Hatate's wanted away for a while now. It was good crack. I thought was that was the point. Yeah, the game last night. It was just a friendly. Do you know what I mean? It was just a friendly. Simply the best is gone because they are pish. Rio should have been shipped out at least 2 years ago. Mm. And then lots of good mornings. Excuse me, my throat's a bit tingly this morning. Hatate hasn't been the same guy since Ange left the building. I'm happy if Rio wants to go. Now Amura has left too. For 1.3, I thought it was 1.5 million. Gavboy said it was good crack last night. It was just watching the Scotland game. It was a friendly. Come on, Bolivia didn't even turn up the first 20 minutes. People in the chat were like, Bolivia don't even look as if they want to be playing the game. Do you know what I mean? They should be on holiday. They're not even at the World Cup. It's nuts that we profited off them. It's bonkers. Celtic have now brought in 5.2 million, well, in pounds. You're talking about around about 4.5, 4.7 million pounds already. 4.7 million pounds already. And did he go to Tokyo? Inamura just stayed in Tokyo. Celtic just, I don't know who it's not came out who Celtic sold him to. But you got a decent fee for Reo Hatate between 6 and 8 million. Yep, you're looking at around about that for a couple of years left on his contract. Martin O'Neill is great, but the easy and safest option after Nancy. Martin O'Neill is the easy option. I'm not disputing that, and it's a safe option. But that's the board playing safe. Don't know. I'm going to say it, but I reckon, depending on who Martin O'Neill gets in as his number two, it's and unless Martin O'Neill gets big money to spend on decent players, fans will end up turning on Martin O'Neill's style of football. They did it 20 odd years ago. They were fed up of Martin O'Neill's style of football 20 odd years ago. You know, we just need to wait and see. And did anyone notice that Rio never bowed in the huddle? Yeah, he never bowed in the huddle. He always stood up. Won't miss him at all. Some magic moments, but time goes. I mean, when you look at the Celtic team, the Celtic won't have updated the site at all, as per normal. It's a massive, massive rebuild. Celtic haven't put anything out. I tell you one thing. I don't know. I don't know whether I'm looking forward to the statement on Monday from Celtic when they officially announce Martin O'Neill as manager, because I think that the Celtic fans are going to be they're going to be split even on that. You know, here's one of the big English publications. By giving Martin O'Neill another shot on the high wire at Celtic, Parkhead Club are doing their bit to keep Scottish circus entertaining. Why are Celtic like ? Other than that it's an ongoing comedy sketch where the People's Revolution Front of Parkhead gang up against anyone who's as much as listened to a techno record from Tel Aviv. Don't know, Celtic were in a no-win situation. They would sign Robbie Keane and they would get slated from their own fans. They don't sign Robbie Keane and they're going to get slated. As soon as this announcement is made public by the club, the Celtic social media platforms are going to come under attack from all sides. Honestly, they're going to come under attack from Celtic fans thinking that it was an easy option. They're going to come under attack from fans of other clubs saying that it was, yeah, you can see what's going to happen tomorrow morning. It's unbelievable. Celtic are stuck in neutral with the loony left support trying to grab the wheel. Honestly, you'd think that it's just a deliberate ploy to keep Scottish Premiership competitive. Celtic were there for the taking last term, and Celtic were there for the taking. You know, the team was malfunctioning. Now it's completely torn up. No director of football in place yet. Precious little information about new recruitment set up. This guy's got it right. Who wrote this? Oh, who cares, to be honest? The Keane fiasco. Fist up this ultras political stuff. Do you know what? I'm not going to have any English reporter or any English publication talk down Celtic fans when your reprobate country and fan base will go on the rampage in America and get their ass kicked by American coppers all day long. And for the ones that can't go to America, they're all ascending to Benidorm, and the Spanish police have, and they've put in 200 riot cops they've brought into Benidorm because there's been such an upsurge in English football fans heading to Benidorm for the World Cup. Honestly, there's nothing worse than your next door neighbours talking down to you, aren't you? But anyway, who cares about them? Let's jump back into some of the comments this Sunday morning. I heard what the transfer budget was for 2027. It's pretty impressive, but they will announce who the manager is, who Martin has already signed a 1-year extension. The owner has to back O'Neill again for another. I think he will back the manager. I don't think that we all know that there was a massive rebuild this summer. Ange Postecoglou got money to spend. It doesn't matter who the manager was going to be this year. Celtic were always on the verge of spending 30 to 40 million, whatever it will be this summer. It will be in the regions of 30 to 40 million. Now, whether we bring in 30 to 40 million, it's by the by. Celtic might even go in and spend more than that if they bring in 30 to 40 million, and then they'll spend some of the money in the bank. It's needed. You know, we're needing of a major rehaul. Things haven't went to plan at Celtic. Reo Hatate has been missing for 2 years. Rio's not good enough. Has down tools. Anyone else back Brother Wilfred's yesterday? Another winner. Did Brother Wilfred win yesterday on the horses? Well, there you go. Hatate had enough free wages. Get rid us up. We should be getting in all the good players from Hibs, Motherwell, and other teams in the league. Do they make you better for the Champions League? It's an honest question. You know, can taking players from Hibs, who finished 4th, Hibs might be a shit show next season. Hibs might just be a 1-year wonder because of the manager they had. The same players might have another manager next year, and they might not like the tactics. But like Celtic, when Wilfred Nancy came in, the Celtic players didn't like the tactics. So I'm not too sure about buying all the best players from Hibs and Motherwell and other teams in the league, unless they're Scottish. But then Why they're not at the World Cup? You've then got to say that. It's interesting. Baz, we should be building now for Europe next season. We desperately need a striker. Well, there's a lot of chat about strikers that Celtic are linked with. I'm not going to. I think we just wait and see what happens, because last summer, I mean, I could go on to where I make my thumbnails, and I could look back the pictures of every player that we were linked with last summer, and it was unbelievable. And it is crazy that we made money on Hatate and Amura. That was 1.5 million euros. So in the big scale of things, Celtic sold Lewis Palmer for 4 million euros and Hatate and Amura for 1.5 million euros. That's 5.5 million euros, which is around about 4.8 million pound current exchange rate. That's not too bad, is it? 4.8 million, and we've not even really got started selling players yet. But it's another profit, and that's the way the club will look at it. Do you know, Inamura, Shin Yamada, that'll be the next one that will be questioned. If there is a complete clear out of the Japanese players, it is definitely the end of an era at Celtic Park. And whilst I love the fact that Martin O'Neill is here, it's a situation. Why do we always, as a club, don't know, it is more the way of modern football, though, isn't it? It seems to be that you go through a phase. There's not going to be many players that hang around, and it's a in the next few years will be the end of one of the biggest eras ever at Celtic Park, because it'll be the end of the era of a player coming through the ranks, coming through the academy, and staying at the club for life. We kind of had it during the 80s and the 90s, early 2000s, a little bit, with players that came in and stayed a long time. Not specifically players that came through the academy, but having James Forrest playing his final contracted year at Celtic, his final professional year in football, he will hang up his boots. Callum McGregor, he's going into the final 2 years of his contract at Celtic. It's more than likely that he'll hang up his boots after that. I can't see him going anywhere unless Brendan Rodgers comes in for him this summer, which I very much doubt it. And then you've got the question of, well, unless young Colby Donovan and Dane Murray step up to the plate and become, really, really important squad players. And that's all that you're ever going to be now. It's not. You're not going to get too many Kieran. Even when Kieran Tierney came through the system, he proved that he was a top class player, but he was sold at the first blink of an eye. The very first offer that came in for Kieran, and Celtic just snapped the hand off them. We have to understand where we are. Monday will be an interesting day. It was Tokyo FC he went to, so it was the club that he was on loan. And we'll just wait and see what is said on Monday, and whether or not Martin O'Neill speaks to the press on Monday. Martin O'Neill is an easy option for the board, but on a bright side, we know what we're getting. Please, board, back him, and us fans, please unite. I'm going to say, Martin, I don't think that the fans will be united going into the season. It's just it's a feeling that I've got that I think we're getting away with it just now because it's kind of closed season. Let me just see. I want to just check something to see if they've updated it. Nope, the 4th. I mean, the Celtic Ultras put out a statement on June the 4th. Until there is meaningful change in personnel and culture within Celtic hierarchy, there will be no sustained unity across the club. That's not a fan base that's going to be happy with just Martin O'Neill staying as manager. That's not going to cut it with certain factions of the fans, and it will get to the stage now, the beginning of the next season, that I think that you'll have discontent between the fans will be off the scale. And it wouldn't surprise me if next season you see the closure at some point of the standing section, especially since they're going to have all the ultras in the one section. It's just the way that Celtic will work it. Not that I want it to happen, I don't want it to happen, anything, but I think that going into next season, we need to try and get as much behind the team as possible. But do you know, when you look at things from afar and you're not there every day? I mean, I've got a privilege where I can kind of step in. I can completely step away from everything Celtic. As soon as I switch this off, I can go outside, sit, look at the Mediterranean Sea, and then just not even think about it. Well, I try. My missus will tell you otherwise. She'll say that I think about it 24/7. Um, hmm. It's one of those things, isn't it? It's just a very Celtic situation. Martin O'Neill was an easy option for the boards. Yep, it was that. It makes sense to go safe in terms of Martin, considering this is the only time in many years that we have one round to qualify for the Champions League. Martin O'Neill couldn't get us to qualify for the Champions League on a regular basis when he was manager first time round. Just saying. Do you know? James says that he heard yesterday that Maloney and Fozzie are staying with them. Well, that means that there's another change. That means Celtic have changed their mind again, because it was widely reported that Maloney was going to take a job upstairs. You know, we played the football last season. Although we won the last 7 games, you know, there was times where the football was woeful. I just hope that Celtic do. So, I've no faith in the board. That's what it is. I have no faith in this board achieving the things that we would all like the club to achieve. And the bickering between fans online is just it's unbelievable. As I say, the Rebels have won this one regarding Keane. But but Paul, where does it stop? Do you know, realistically, where does it stop? Do we all sign up to Willie Hockey's thing? And whilst he sits hand in hand, you know, well, he sits next to Dermot Desmond on the board. That's not change. Signing up to Willie Hockey's thing, getting 10 million shares, getting a seat. You might not even get a seat on the board with 10 million shares. There's nothing to say that you're going to get a seat on the board. You know, there's just too much that is frustrating the living hell out of us. We should be in happy mode that we won and it's so Celtic. We've been through this before. After we stopped the 10 all those years ago, you know, when the manager left 2 days later. It's the exact same this season. You know, we win a double against all odds, and it's just been back to the negativity. Boom, you can't make it up. Martin Neal for a 1 year deal is typical Dermot Desmond deflection decision. DD, deflection decision. In case of papering over the cracks and just holding back the Barbarians for a year. Long enough for more dopamine hits then, and Keane. What is the long term vision for the club? Winning the league in Scotland is fantastic. You know, you've got to win it's your bread and butter. we went through such a successful period over the last 26 years. And when it comes to European football, you've got smaller teams in Europe doing way better than Celtic. And it's just, everything's going to go full circle again. If we get knocked out the Champions League, people will say, it's fine, Martin O'Neill will get us the Europa. But we need the Champions League. That is the big thing. We need the Champions League money. Celtic should have confirmed it on Friday night. Not have us wait until Monday to announce it. They need to do it through the stock exchange first, and it was after 5:30 when they announced it. When they leaked it to Sky, and it was around about 5 o'clock. They could have got it done. I don't know why they've not done it. And I'm glad that Martin is staying. Like you, Baz. I think a younger manager, 3 to 5 years, would have been good too. It is an interesting one. We all know the Celtic board cannot run a bubble bath. This is very true. I'd be happy with results. I'll be happy with results season again. A bit of style improvement, transition season. First few weeks we just need to win. Is it a transition season? Is it not just a stopgap season? Transition seasons are where you bring in a new manager and you have a long-term vision, and you have a kind of plan on where you want the club to be in 2 years' time. In 2 years' time, Martin O'Neill will just want the club to be winning the league, and it's rinse and repeat. It's very rinse and repeat from Celtic. Win the league and try and do well in Europe. It's a bonus, Europe. It is a bonus. We've been under attack by many other clubs in the media for years. Nothing new. This is very true. Very true. I wasn't wanting Reo to even get the ball the last couple of appearances. He was a liability. Being opposed to genocide isn't left wing. It's not political stance. Anybody who thinks it is dangerous. I tell you, don't go into Twitter then and read the comments on Sky's latest interview outside Celtic Park. Mainstream media isn't worth the power on your phone. This is true. I'm going to jump through this. Dyson and Brother Wilfred over the weekend. A couple of horses that made some folk money. I can't believe that Celtic will spend anything like 30 to 40 million, says Thomas Burns. Watch this space. I think that why was the comments off YouTube for Bolivia Scotland game? Huh? Why was the comments off YouTube? I have no idea. The other channel. Perth Luxury, how are you, mate? Thanks for that. Keeping Martin O'Neill for 1 year just delays the problem. Typical Dermot Desmond, dopamine and deflection. What if Martin O'Neill retires early? What happens next year then? I think that if it will be interesting, because Martin O'Neill couldn't handle the late night flight home after the football, which Celtic have done for years. As soon as you have the European game, you get showered, you do the press conference stuff, and you head to the airport. You get home about 4 in the morning. Martin O'Neill didn't cope with that very well, and then having to get up after 3-4 hours sleep and then going to work. Martin O'Neill convinced the Celtic board for them to stay, and this is going to be an added cost to Celtic in terms of European football. He convinced them to stay in the host city that they were playing at, and then they could train at a ground the next morning and then travel back to Scotland after that, so that it's a bit more civilised. It's the way that I like to travel, to be honest. I hate the early morning flights or even the late night flights. They're just a pain in the jacksie. And when you get to a certain age, you don't need to be flying in the middle of the night. Do you know what I mean? It's okay for the young football players, But when you get to a certain age, you just want to fly in comfort. So it'll be interesting to see what Martin O'Neill does with that. I don't care what the market we shop in, as long as the new players are good enough. That's been the big issue for the last couple of seasons, that the players that we have and the markets that we have shopped in, the players haven't been good enough. Haven't been good enough under Brendan Rodgers. Haven't been good enough under Martin O'Neill. Haven't been good enough. Well, Wilfred Nancy has a weird stat, and some of you won't like this. Wilfred Nancy has a stat of probably a 100% record in his transfer dealings. Wilfred Nancy brought us in Julian Araujo, and Julian Araujo was a fantastic player. So Wilfred Nancy tops the league on player acquisitions and 100% like good player versus bad player. He only brought in one player and then was sacked. In fact, he didn't even get to see Julian Araujo, did he? It was Martin O'Neill. Martin O'Neill got the benefit of Julian Araujo, which is crazy. Absolute crazy. But anyway, heard he was great in central defence in Tokyo. It's not in Martin's DNA to do a Brendan. No, he will be here at the end of the season, but at the end of the year, the end of the season, Martin might go, do you know what? It's too much. Do you know, it's too much. Jim Lister says we should go for Sriracha, Araujo, Bowie, Lennon. None of them are going to happen, mate. Cammy Devlin and Jim Devlin. I'll put a fiver's bet on you that we do not sign any one of those players. I don't even think Sriracha will come to Celtic now. There you go. Julian Araujo is definitely not coming to Celtic. I'll put these ones up just because I think Jim lives in a yellow submarine. It's all about love. Any word of Maeda staying or going? Maeda's going. There's no way that Dyson Maeda's staying at Celtic. No way. We made profit on Yamada. Have we sold Yamada? We've not sold Yamada. Have we sold Shin Yamada and I don't know about it? Does anyone else feel that Martin O'Neill appointment is Celtic kicking the can down the road? Yes. It's 100%. It is 110% what Celtic are doing. You can't tell me that there wasn't high quality younger managers that would have been available this year for Celtic Football Club to take on the challenge of maintaining a championship winning team in Scotland whilst having a young enthusiastic manager on the side of the pitch that is up and coming, that can take the club forward. Nobody in world football, nobody at all. There was nobody. I just think it's great that he's here, you know, and but from that perspective, I think yes, Celtic are just kicking the can down the road. Yamada's going to PSG for 100 million. Yes, you dancer. Do you think the Rocky will be like a new signing under Martin O'Neill? No, he'll be sold this summer. Definitely sold this summer. If they haven't taken up the clause already, I think that he'll be sold somewhere else. Let's hope they give Johnny Kenny a change, even as backup striker. Well, that's another one, because Martin O'Neill put Johnny Kenny out on loan. Some say that Johnny Kenny is not the answer to Celtic's striker woes, but Martin O'Neill doesn't really fancy Kelechi Iheanacho. There's lots to be. To tell you one thing, it's going to be interesting over the next month and a half. That is for sure. I don't get why there are calls to sign Jordan Larson. Me neither. Just because it's his dad. There will be activity after the World Cup, yes, but by after the World Cup, it's too late for Celtic. Celtic need to amass a team now that can play the system, can play the way the manager wants, that knows their players. Ange Postecoglou said that he would rather sign players for next season in the January. He would rather sign the player in the January knowing that the player's not going to get much football, because he wants the player to get settled in. He says when you move to a new country as a player, you're staying in a hotel, not ideal. You don't know anybody. It's you're living like a recluse. Do you know, you're eating at the training facility, and then you're eating in the hotel at night. You don't know anyone. You're trying to get an apartment or a house sorted out. That takes time. You're then trying to get a car. You've got all these things. If your family to bring over, you've got schools to sort out, etc., etc., etc. It takes a player around about 6 months. Hence the reason that there's so many times that we've brought a player in and Ange Postecoglou says, give him the first 6 months is a null and void as far as Ange was concerned. You know, we don't expect anything from you for the first 6 months, because we know that you need that transition to settle in. People think that it's easy just packing up. I mean, but we all expect football players to come in and just hit the ground running and start scoring goals, and if he doesn't, he's shite. But they don't think about coming to a new country and learning a new language, as all the Japanese boys have had to do. You know, different cultures. You know, understanding Scottish. Walking down the street, oh fucking you, what are you fucking doing? Fucking telling me, I ain't fucking saying that. There's a like that. Is he trying to attack me, or is he friend or foe? You know, it's we're going to have to bring in a whole new team this summer, get them to gel. Even Ange Postecoglou couldn't get us into the Champions League in the first year because he couldn't get the team to gel quick enough. It came too quick. You know, when we're talking about the money that the club needs and the money that the club will bring in, the club ultimately needs Champions League football. It's interesting. Martin will bring in a taller, more robust players, I would think. Well, he tried it with Tam the Czech, and that was a nightmare. Jim, absolutely no chance Hearts will do business with us for any of their players. Correct. Did the board appoint O'Neill? And did Crane feel for the backlash? Dermot Desmond appointed Martin O'Neill, not the board. We aren't using the youth system at the club. The club don't care about it. I think that they do, but there's too many younger players are just being allowed to leave Celtic. I think building Lennoxtown was a mistake. The land at the Barfield should have been expanded, developed, whether it's up the Campsies in which winter or harsh. I think that a lot of big clubs have their training facility away from. You can understand why Celtic did it. You know, a lot of big clubs around Europe have their training facility miles away from the ground, so that, you know, you've not got fans who turn up to the ground every day annoying the piss out of the players and stuff. Although you get it happening up at Lennoxtown. I think the issue with it is the running costs more than anything. I mean, it's a great facility. It has been needed upgrading. It has been upgraded this year. But yeah, you're right. We've owned that piece of land down at Barfield for such a long time, and then just making it for women's football and the academy. It better start producing academy players. That is for sure. Right, anyway, I'm going to jump to the end of the comments. Apologise for not reading all your comments. A couple of super chats. More red cards at the next GM. Out. Yeah, there will be that. There will be that. You know. Anyway, right, I shall catch yous all maybe even later on this afternoon. I don't know if I'm going to watch the Malaga Las Palmas game tonight. I'm probably going to watch that actually, because it's a meaningful game rather than another boring friendly. See if Malaga can beat Las Palmas in the away game, and then they have the home tie on Wednesday, the semi-final for the playoffs into the La Liga. Have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.